Thank you.
All right, turning to weather again, Florida's governor activating the National Guard as the state prepares for Idalia. Meanwhile, President Biden approved an emergency declaration, and Georgia and South Carolina have declared states of emergency there as you look live. Meteorologist Amy Wilmoth is tracking the storm as it moves from Florida up the east coast to North Carolina. Amy, tell us what you're experiencing now. Any wind?
Things are really quiet here right now, Lena. We've had winds. I have this handy tool, 5 to 10 mile per hour winds. We were actually able to fly the drone and get some footage earlier. So really things are not okay, but we're about to probably get one of those outer rain bands within the next hour to an hour and a half. We're here in Cedar Key, Florida. We will not be riding out the storm here. As Lena mentioned, we're going to follow it as it moves into North Carolina. One of the reasons we're not going to stay here, this spot right here is probably going to be underwater this time tomorrow, maybe even as early as tomorrow morning. Right now, the sea level, the water level from where we are down about 4 feet. The forecast for the storm surge here, anywhere from 10 to 15 feet. I spoke to one local resident. Her family owns the restaurant here that's right on the water, and she says some of her family is planning to stay.
This is, like I said, their livelihood, and anyone that needs medical attention or anything, they understand that no one's coming. But so it's a very limited, select group of my family that's going to be staying behind. And I know there's going to be limited things that they can do, but their heart is here.
And Vinny, the photojournalist that came with me, he's zooming in on that restaurant that they are still boarding up, making very last-minute preparations as Idalia gets closer and closer. The chef here, one of the owners, is going to stay. He's one of the ones that's physically putting the boards on the building. Certainly a rough time here. It looks like this path could be similar to Hermine back in 2016. Hermine was a Category 1. This is forecast to be a Category 3. The storm surge could be twice what they saw back with Hermine. So it's going to be a tough situation here. As I mentioned, we're not staying here. We're headed inland later on tonight to stay away from the storm surge that's going to happen here. Coming up in a little bit, Campbell is going to have an updated look at the local forecast totals for our area.
All right. It's certainly smart to move out of its path. Meteorologist Amy Wilmoth reporting live for us in Florida. Thank you for that preview.
Wake County Schools is considering a policy that would allow students to walk to school. WRAL's Chris Lovingood is going to join us next to break down the proposed policy and how it would impact your child.
Plus, detectives in Fayetteville investigating the death of a college student there at the beginning of the school year. What we're learning about her death near Fayetteville State University. Mark?
When we continue to track the hurricane as it's going to move up the coast later this evening and into tomorrow, live pictures right now. This is the Sanibel Causeway right there. This is in Lee County. Already seeing some rain and clouds move in. That's expected to continue to deteriorate. A little up closer to St. Petersburg and Pinellas County. Live pictures looking north over the Sunshine Skyway. Still open, indicating the winds have not gotten to the stage where they need to shut the roads down yet. That is a possibility at some point, though, as the storm expects to make landfall on the northwest portions of the state of Florida. We'll be right back right after this.
Hurricane Idalia is closing in on Florida tonight. Evacuation orders are in place for some coastal communities and curfews are set in other areas. Gloria Pazmino is in Clearwater Beach, where a hurricane warning and storm surge warning are in place.
Florida in the direct path of a rapidly intensifying storm.
This is going to be a major hurricane, likely a Category 3.
The first major hurricane set to make landfall in the U.S. this year. Idalia is threatening millions with potentially deadly storm surges and heavy flooding.
The #1 killer in all of these storms is water, whether it's the storm surge that's going to happen at the coast or the excessive rainfall that might happen inland that causes urban flash flooding.
The National Hurricane Center is predicting wind speeds well over 100 miles per hour, which could lead to widespread power outages.
You're going to see power lines knocked down, and it's just going to require a concerted effort.
Evacuations are underway in at least 22 counties as coastal communities brace for the worst.
Don't try to be a hero and ride it out. If they tell you to get out of there, please get out of there and do it now.
Local, state, and federal agencies are mobilizing ahead of anticipated search and rescue, power restoration, and recovery efforts.
We will continue to move forces in to be ready to respond at Florida's request to come in after the storm passes.
But as the storm quickly approaches, officials warn the time to prepare is running out.
Whatever you decide is the best for yourself and your family, again, the action is now. You must do it now.
In Clearwater Beach, I'm Gloria Pasmino.
The National Hurricane Center will have a new update on Idalia's track at 5 o'clock, and meteorologist Kat Campbell and Mike Mays will share those new details as soon as we have them.
Now, emergency responders in Robeson County are keeping a close eye on Idalia as well. The storm could bring significant rain and flooding to the area. WRAL's Gilbert Bays talked with the county's emergency management director, who said the county is now better prepared to handle storms.
Well, this is the Lumber River. During Hurricanes Matthew and Florence, it flooded Interstate 95. Now there's a plan to raise the bridge some 13 feet. Folks who live in Robeson County will never forget Hurricanes Matthew and Florence. The storms dumped an ocean of water on the county, causing the Lumber River to overflow. The flooding along Interstate 95 in Robeson County became a nightmare.
One of the things that we learned through Florence and Matthew is when 95 shuts down, it kind of disrupts the entire traffic pattern of the county, and it becomes a gridlock.
The flooding cut the county into a series of islands, destroying property and forcing residents to flee to higher ground. Since then, the county has improved its ability to keep track of residents who are in shelters with these scanning machines.
And what this does is, as folks are coming in, as our residents are coming into the shelters, they can scan their driver's license, and we know who we have in the shelters.
So now it's a game of hurry up and wait. County leaders are hopeful they won't have to deploy some of this equipment that they purchased because of what they learned from previous storms. In Robeson County, Gilbert Bays, WRAL News.
And Director Chavis adds shelters have already been identified. They also have equipment ready to move at a moment's notice if Idalia does present a flooding threat. It's also important to note here, Robeson County schools, they are closed on Thursday. Leave a comment and share this video with your friends. With daily uploads, there will always be a conversation.